All right, folks, welcome back to the Crisis Report. It is December 5th, 2025. Today we're going to be talking a lot about some of the things going on in Yemen, other issues, of course, going out. There's internet down in certain places. We're talking about Asia. There's some things coming out that are interesting on the advisory panel of some of the things we do for immunization. We've got inflation news. We've got the Warner Brothers Discovery, HBO Max, Netflix deal, and, of course, some other things across the world like AFD rising and, of course, things with Taiwan and Afghanistan. So let's get started with all this. We have a good amount of news on our alert. We appreciate you being here. Hit that like button. We're brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. Here we go. Governor Ron DeSantis says Florida residents should have their property taxes eliminated, and he plans to amend the Constitution to let voters decide on it. Charlie Kirk's show has crashed in rankings, falling to number 94 on Apple's podcast, even though routinely held the top 10 spot in the past, even reached number 1 when Charlie Kirk was alive. World Health Organization is proposing a Gil Bates-funded digital identification framework that would link newborns' jab status to lifelong tracking through interoperable registries, socioeconomic data, and AI. I wonder if this could be tied into that new account that Trump just put out for the babies with Dell. I'm sure they're not related. Internet down, multiple websites, platforms affected. Putin says he's going to continue uninterrupted shipments of fuel to India. Trump says that Japan, South Korea, they all must contribute more on Taiwan on their protection. Trump said he has approved tiny cars to be built in America. Cool. I'm sure New Yorkers will love that. United States stocks rise. Netflix dips on the Warner Brothers Discovery deal. We'll have more on that. Advisory panel on the Gibbities voted to drop the decades-old federal recommendation that all infants receive the hepatitis B at birth. United States inflation accelerated to 2.8% annually in September. European Commission on Friday imposed a 120 million euro fine on Elon Musk's social media platform X. EU claims a deceptive design of X's verified user checkmark and non-compliance for not allowing so-called researcher to access X's data. Netflix, in exclusive talks with Warner Brothers Discovery, is going to buy HBO Max and Warner Television and Film Studios. United States State Department is going to reject H-1B visa applications from people who worked on fact-checking, content moderation, or other types of censorship of America's speech. AFD, Germany, largest opposition party, continues to widen the gap between itself and the ruling CDU in the polls. United States Inspector General for Afghanistan, or SIGAR, released its final report on the war in Afghanistan, concluding that over 20% of the money that was designated for Afghan reconstruction was lost to fraud and waste. Adjusted for inflation, the $145 billion loan that was spent on Afghan reconstruction was more than the entire Marshall Plan, rebuilt Europe post-World War II, while the entire U.S. expenditure of Afghanistan from 2001 to 2021 totaled $2.3 trillion. China is deploying a large number of naval and Coast Guard vessels across East Asian waters. At one point, there are more than 100 in the largest maritime show of force to date, according to force sources and intelligence reports reviewed by Reuters. Tsai Ming-yen, Director General of Taiwan's National Security Bureau, said on Wednesday that China is now in what is generally the most active season for its military drills. Together with warplanes, some of the Chinese vessels in the area have carried out mock attacks on foreign ships. They have also practiced access denial operations aimed at preventing outside forces from sending reinforcements in the event of a conflict. Two other sources said countries in the region are tracking the development closely, but added that they so far don't think the deployment carries significant risks. China's last named war game around Taiwan was in April and called Straight Thunder 2025. China never formally confirmed it held drills during the last December's mass naval activity. Germany's parliament passed a law that makes military and medical screening of all males who reach age 18 mandatory. Military service remains non-compulsory. However, if annual military recruiting quotas are not met, government can order male citizens to serve. Overnight on Thursday, 7:30 p.m., French Navy opened fire on a swarm of 5 drones spotted flying over the Île Long strategic submarine base in Finistère on the coast of Brittany, which houses France's fleet of nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarines operating as part of the Force de Dissuasion under the Strategic Ocean Force. Whether any of the drones were actually shot down is currently unknown, according to the Agence France Presse, or AFP. U.S. national security strategy calls for reviving Monroe Doctrine, limiting NATO expansion. Super read of the NSS appears indeed to be a big change. Trump corollary to Monroe Doctrine is now the core pillar. China downgraded from existential threat to economic competitor. Taiwan deterrence ideal but conditional on allies paying up. Indo-Pacific secondary. Western Hemisphere plus homeland first. No more democracy crusades. No value imposition abroad. Tariffs quietly admitted as failure. Focus shifts to multilateral pressure. Biggest shift since 1945 from global COP to fortified hemisphere power. I don't hate it. First announced strike since November 15th. Southcom, December 4th, Director of War Secretary Pete Hegseth, Joint Task Force Southern Spear, conducted a lethal kinetic strike on a vessel international waters operated by a designated terrorist organization. Intelligence confirmed that the vessel was carrying illicit narcotics and transiting along a known narco-trafficking route, Eastern Pacific. 4 male narco-terrorists aboard eliminated. In everything we do, we are putting America first. National security strategy is going to describe and build upon the extraordinary strides we have made, document the roadmap to ensure that America remains the greatest and most successful nation in human history and the home of freedom on earth. In the years ahead, we will continue to develop every dimension of our national strength, and we will make America safer, richer, freer, greater, and more powerful than ever before. President Donald Trump. PrepperNow is now being sponsored by Augusta Precious Metals. They're a member of the Better Business Bureau, and you can check them out online at AugustaPreciousMetals.com, and a great place to consider putting your retirement if you want to put it into a gold or silver IRA. NATO Supreme Allied Commander at Europe, General Grinkovich, said that the continent can withstand a reduction to 85,000 U.S. troops stationed there, citing strong European and Canadian capabilities. Comments came as the U.S. is shifting focus to Asia and Russia, escalating the hybrid threats. Mexican President Sheinbaum is going to meet Trump on Friday, today. Their announcement on Thursday is for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, hold a brief meeting with the U.S. President, marking the first face-to-face encounter. She will also meet Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney amid preparations for the USMCA review and ongoing North American trade discussions. U.S. national security strategy has downgraded China as primary threat to America and pivots toward a neo-Monroe Doctrine. It looks like Dusenberry David was correct. We are entering a period not of global conflict, but of re-civilization. Some governments today talk about possibly introducing CBDCs. If these currencies are implemented, would expect that they would be used to ration the increasingly limited supply of goods and services amongst their populations. It is expected that there will be a formal World War III at some point. It is expected that there will not be a formal World War III at some point. Instead, the U.S. is already in a Cold War against practically every other country because there cannot be enough goods and services to go around. The U.S. cannot go in to a formal war against China because it provides parts of the supply chains for many essential goods of the U.S. today. Even Europe is a competitor for essential goods. For example, less oil Europe uses, the more oil will be available for other countries. While new technologies such as artificial intelligence and energy recovery may eventually alleviate our energy problems, it is unlikely that such approaches will resolve our problem in the near term. As a result, governments are likely to be less able to keep their promises. Historically, families or villages of extended kin have provided safety nets rather than government programs. Perhaps now is a good time to be thinking about how we can move into this direction, and that is what PrepperNow is doing with his family, with our future. Internet users in Australia now have to share their driver's license and biometrics to prove age in the guise of protecting youth. Total surveillance of all users and internet activity. These are serious privacy, data integrity implications, and submitting sensitive, valuable personal information. IDs like driver's license or a clear shot of one's face are being used for verification. Canada is monitoring the situation closely and probably going to be adding the feature as well. Terrorists have become a threat, even for NATO. There is activity in the Black Sea. The AFU are attacking civilian vessels in the Black Sea, which of course is not making Turkey happy. It was struck another one again in Holcim Field. What happened? Well, December 3rd, 4 USVs struck in the Danube River Basin, reaching Snake Island northeast, headed towards Holcim Gas Condensate Field. More goes on from there. This is all in there. I'm getting long in the tooth, but likely a USV had been blown off course towards Snake Island. This is a big thing, and they're getting really mad about all this. Initial reports of drone strike against high-rise in Grozny, Chechnya. Building struck has the Chechen Security Council, Human Rights Commissioner, and the Accounts Chamber, Election Commission, and other departments. Chairman of the Presidential Leadership Council Yemen, President Rashad Alami, has reportedly left the country to Saudi Arabia and Riyadh. Al Ghaya International Airport in Al Mahra province in Yemen is under control of the Saudi-backed NSF again. And the Prime Minister of internationally recognized government of Yemen, Salim Saleh, has left Yemen for Saudi Arabia. United States State Department is going to reject H-1B visa applications from people who worked on fact-checking, content moderation, or other types of censorship of America's speech. China is rapidly expanding its military footprint and an ambitious military buildup on the border with India, according to the Wall Street Journal. China has constructed and expanded a series of airfields over the past decade, some of the world's highest among them, to protect and project power across its rugged western frontier and over the Himalayas. The Chinese crew suffered shortness of breath and headaches. Altitude sickness was so severe that some had to be hooked up to intravenous drips. And Netflix, yes, they're purchasing Warner Brothers, and Mr. Obama is happy. He will now have a monopoly to own the minds of America and America's youth. It's so funny to see the structure be put into place. Well, that's all right. You don't have to think for yourselves anymore. The intellectually artificial will be doing the things for you and shaping your children's brains by giving them every answer that Klaus and his friends would like to give them. We are brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. Friends, if you like what we're doing here, please support. Consider becoming a member. We've had a nice influx as of late, and we promise to give you good information. It's going to be a crazy couple of weeks, but we have some beautiful things on the other side that I can't wait to share as we get going with it. But give me time, give me grace, and I will keep giving you the intel. God bless, and have a wonderful weekend.